All right, guys. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the NBA Tournament Strategy Show, where we're going to look back at last night, see what went well, what didn't go as well, and then we're going to dig into this slate, a nice little three-gamer, and make sure that we are ready to go for the pre-lock show, which will be at 5:30 p.m. today, and that's when we'll really start implementing the strategy that we're starting to work on now. So to be able to watch that show, click the link in the description. Feel free to use promo code BOB for a 10% discount. Now that we have that out of the way, let's dig into the important stuff like last night. So it's weird. I was tilting so bad last night. It was like 8:30. My lines weren't doing very well. It was looking like it was going to be a negative night. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. And so I just turned off the games and I was like, yeah, I don't really care what happens. And it's weird. I checked back around 10:30, and I was looking like things might be profitable slightly. And I was like, I'm still not going to watch. Just going to wait and see. And then that Pacers Golden State Warriors game started, and things really started to pop off. So it was a profitable night for me. It wasn't one that really stands out too much. And part of the reason for that is that I had Trae Young and Brandon Clark as a core plays, and they were not great. Thankfully, I lowered my exposure on Brandon Clark so he could only hurt me so much. I think the main guys I missed were Drew Holiday. I think if you're a DFS Army member, our guy Madness has been on Drew Holiday for a while now, and he was on Drew Holiday once again, and that definitely worked yesterday. So once again, definitely recommend everyone become a DFS Army member because it's not just me out here. It's also Madness, Uppers, Keg, a lot of really good coaches that you can get advice from. Nimbard was a core play for me, so that worked well. Paolo Banchero, we talked about these Magic guys, and we talked about Banchero right at the end of the pre-lock show, and I was like, oh, he hasn't really had an explosive game since his injury. Until today, apparently, or yesterday. So yesterday was a smash night for Banchero. Moritz Wagner also did well. Giannis had an explosive game. We were over the field on Giannis just because of the domination station, so that was nice. Tyus Jones was a core play. Santi Aldama we had a ton of. Buddy Hield was the play. So I had TJ McConnell as a core play for me last night. Once the news came out that he was out, I late swapped with the domination station, and I then had a ton of Buddy Hield. Klay Thompson was also a leverage play for me last night, and he went off. And so I think that's why ultimately I ended up having a positive night, but it was weird because I really didn't see that coming. But hey, I'll take it. A positive night is a positive night. So that's a win. All right, guys, let's dig into this slate. That's what we're all really here for. Like I said, it's only a 3-gamer, so I don't foresee this taking a long time. Nolan, man, good to see you. Hope all is well. Hope all is well. I know you've been crushing lately, Nolan. All right, guys. Starting off with this Miami Heat game, Jimmy Butler was pretty meh last night. Uh, it wouldn't shock me if he didn't play off of a back-to-back. That would, of course, make guys like Bam even more interesting. Tyler Hero maybe even more interesting. Kyle Lowry for sure. Even Caleb Martin, who I like a little bit today as a potential sneaky play at 5,200. If Jimmy Butler plays, I'm less interested in the Miami Heat, but because of this soft matchup against the Pistons, I think they're going to be viable targets. Like I mentioned, Caleb Martin is a guy that I plan on having some exposure to. I might potentially get some leverage on Caleb Martin here. He's priced right around Max Strus. Max Strus is a streaky shooter. He's always GPP viable, but he's not seeing the same minutes as Caleb Martin. And I like to attack the minutes. Caleb Martin isn't a high usage guy, but again, a guy that I'm relatively high on in this spot. So leverage play potentially. Make sure you check the cheat sheet, watch the pre-lock show to see if we actually do it. But I think he's interesting pretty early on. On the Pistons side of things, Killian Hayes and I have a interesting relationship. I've hit with him sometimes. I've missed with him a few times. he's had at least 30 DraftKings points in 4 out of the last 5 games he's played. So, I mean, I think he's definitely in play here and viable. I know people usually have given me some flack for using him as a leverage play, but it looks like another spot that he might be that guy on. Nolan said, yeah, let's say I want to max out an NBA tournament tonight with my new bankroll. Yeah. What is your favorite tournament in general? I know this show isn't about contest selection, but just curious. Um, so let me think about that, Nolan. I'm not really a big I'm not great with like tournament names and things of that sort, so I need to actually pull it up and look at it. Um, of course, like general MME, if you wanted to start taking your shot at the 100K, that's always in play. But really what helped me build my bankroll after I started taking down tournaments were the 3 maxes. Depending on where your bankroll is at right now, I think the $75 3 max is a solid tournament. Don't love it. The $200 3 max, sometimes it's 150. I prefer the 150. That tournament is fantastic. Nice way of having a small field and relatively I started consistently seeing more 10K wins by playing in that $200 tournament. And then there's another one, Nolan, that I'm blanking on that jumps between like $40 and $88, where I think it sometimes is like a 20 max or a 40 max. And that tournament has a lot of really sharp guys in it, but is also a way I started having a little bit more consistency, having like 4-figure wins. So DM me if you have more questions. We can definitely talk about that. There's a lot of really just interesting tournaments that have relatively small player fields, like 200 to 600, that I absolutely love. Especially on small slates, like you can still play pretty chalky and pivot and direct other spots. Yeah, for sure, Nolan. I got you. All right. Outside of that, on the Pistons side of things, I already mentioned Killian Hayes is always going to be interesting for me. He's starting for Cade Cunningham, who's out still. Bojan Bogdanovic, he's always that streaky shooter that we have to remember is very, very volatile, but the upside is there. And if this ownership is right on a 3-game slate, like I think we can take shots on some of these guys who are streaky shooters that are just going to be underowned. JJ, haha, meanwhile, I have to toggle to $3 and under. Hey, man, I've been there, and sometimes due to personal issues, I play a lot with that type of stuff. Family stuff, not with me personally, but I take care of my family a lot, so have to put money towards family stuff instead of DFS sometimes. So I totally get it, man. And I always say, like, when I first joined DFS Army, I only played 20 maxes because that's all I could afford. So I get it, man. You got to play what you can afford to keep it fun. You know, if you play more than that, you get too stressed out and then you can't have fun. And then you can't play the plays that are silly that actually help you take down tournaments. You know, if you get in your head too much, it gets ugly. Cedric said, are we locking AD? We'll get there, man. We'll get there. Definitely in a good spot, though. When it comes to the rest of these Pistons, I see them as more like GPP flyers. So Jaden Ivey, he's a tournament option guy for sure. He has upside. He's broken slates. It's just been a while. Doesn't mean he can't do it, though. Marvin Bagley, the minutes have been absolutely everywhere for him, but he's someone else that we have to consider. Isaiah Stewart stands out a little bit for me here. I do feel like this is a potentially good spot. It looks like he might be chalky, so that's not really a secret or super sneaky play by any means, but this is a solid spot for him, I believe. And outside of that, yeah, I'm not really too excited about these Pistons guys. They have a matchup against the Heat, so it's not something that you typically want to force. But again, as a 3-gamer, so it's fine, like getting exposure to guys in not great situations due to low ownership. I just can't hit, man. Hey, man, we gotta work on it. You can always DM me and ask me some questions. We can talk through your process and things of that sort. Figure out what's going on. James D said, same, scored high last night. Everyone always just remembers to score higher. I'm still chugging along though. Yeah, it's wild. Like really, I did not foresee having a profitable night last night. I just didn't think that was gonna happen, but I'm glad it did. Nice. All right, next game is the Lakers and the Cavaliers game. This game is one that I'm actually excited to see. LeBron going back to Cleveland, those games are always fun. LeBron typically has fantastic games in Cleveland. So for me, this is more of a narrative versus the stats and numbers. On paper, this is not a great matchup for LeBron James. If Jared Allen plays tonight, it's even a worse matchup for LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So this isn't like a soft matchup by any means. We're not getting them at extreme discounts, but the narrative, but the narrative that when it comes to LeBron James, like that narrative does mean a little bit more than it does for some other people. So we'll see where the DS takes us tonight. I think for me, I prefer Anthony Davis here. It looks like LeBron James is going to be more popular, which is wild to me because Anthony Davis has been on an absolute tear. He's had a 30.3% usage rate so far this season. He has 1.92 fantasy points per minute. That is wild. That is absolute wild. Nolan is speaking the truth out here. He's saying, remember, friends, for the most part, you only need to hit a big one once a year, so don't get down. Yeah, like that's something that I always say. Like your process for me, it's weird. Like I've been profitable, like probably a bit more consistently than normal, maybe. Like usually I'll have like 2 losing nights, 1 profitable night, 1 man night, and then one like boom, drop the mic night, like one that really covers me for that month or the year or whatever. Um, but definitely, like I always say, like it's easier to have those big wins and keep them coming more consistently when you're paying up versus when you're paying down. When you're paying down, is even more important to remember. Hey, you're facing more people, larger player pools, so those wins are going to be more spread out. And so that's really when you're hoping for that one big one to help you start being able to pay up more and start hitting that consistency and being more profitable long term. It's a process. It takes time, but it's possible. I promise. I've done it, and so literally why I'm trying to help other people do it. So feel free to DM me, ask me questions here. More than happy to help out because really do want to keep seeing Army members do well, and other people too, but mostly Army members. uh, Cedric, you never won anything significant in NBA. Well, let's try to change that today, man. Let's try and make it happen. Definitely check in to the pre-lock show. Like that's when we really start digging deeper into what we're actually doing on this slate. This show is more of like theory crafting, just kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. If you guys have guys that you guys like already, like I know you already mentioned AD Cedric, let me know because this is just more conversational, just kind of bouncing ideas off pretty early because things change a ton in NBA. Nolan said, yes, dude, I started focusing on contest selection in NFL and it has paid off. I can't quit building 150 lines on Sunday though. It's like crack. I know. I feel that on such a deep level. Um it it's like contest selection is so important and understanding that like hey, if it's super top heavy, like only first place, like I'm only going to be profitable in this contest if I win first place, probably doesn't make sense to do it. Maybe if top 10, top 20 profitable, debatable. But like when you finally find those contests that are winnable and you can be profitable in more consistently, it's a game changer. But I still can't quit the 150. I can't. It's just so much fun and I love doing it. It wouldn't be the same. But yeah, back to this game. Like I said, LeBron James not a great matchup on paper, but the narrative it does drive home for me. I want to see how much exposure I'm going to get in the DS later today on the pre-lock show before I make any final decisions. But if Anthony Davis is going to be less popular than LeBron James, it's going to be hard to not have AD at least be a leverage play. At least. I was kind of hoping it was going to be the other way around because that would have made more sense for me. Set the money on fire for your mental health is what Nolan said. And that's so like if you can get to a point where you can just have fun playing, I think that's probably why I'm more profitable right now. It's because I'm just having fun. Like I am overthinking, but I catch myself when I'm overthinking on the pre-lock show 9 times out of 10, and it's been working out. So I'll take it. So yeah, that's what my plan is for AD and LeBron. Things do get a little gross here on the Lakers side of things because we actually have guys like Russell Westbrook being viable, Lonnie Walker being viable, Dennis Schroeder is viable, which is wild. I don't even think he was on a team for a little bit there. And I don't even think he was seeing minutes when he was on the Celtics for a while. But he's been seeing high minutes in the high 20s as of late. So, like, he's definitely viable at 4,100, probably one of the better values on this slate with not a ton of injury news. Jared Allen is really the only news we're waiting on, and we'll have that by lock because it's at 7:30 today. Reminder for those who don't know. This is a 3-gamer, 7:30, and then way later tonight we have the Mavs and Nuggets game. So definitely something to keep in mind. So yeah, really, my thought process is when it comes to the Lakers, I'm probably going to have more exposure to these ugly names than I want, and that's just the way it's going to have to be on this slate. When it comes to the Cavs, Donovan Mitchell, he's been really good this season. In this matchup, I don't think it's a bad one. I think it's a spot where we can definitely target Donovan Mitchell. Again, like I don't think this is like a matchup that's popping off. And that's pretty much the trend on this slate. Like there's not any spots where it's like, hey, this guy is a must play. So we're really just gonna have to try to find leverage spots and take advantage of those, just since there aren't a ton of injuries that are going to make plays pop off. So I'm just trying to be careful here. Nice. Cedric said, I'm still back testing my process, but my first run on DK hit 376. Okay, so from last night, I don't remember the scores from last night. That's something that people always ask me about, like final scores, final projections, and things of that sort. I so rarely ever look at the numbers, but I hope that's a good number and that you're getting closer to your process getting down. Appreciate you, JJ. All right. Of course, if Jared Allen is out, Evan Mobley is probably going to be one of those must plays on this slate. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Darius Garland hasn't been breaking the slate as of late. He had that hot streak for a little bit where his price was actually pretty close to Donovan Mitchell's, but now he's just been pretty meh. So a guy that I'm definitely going to have exposure to, but again, nothing too exciting here. Levert, again, price seems solid. Upside is probably there as well. Yeah, honestly, guys, just nothing's really popping in this game for me yet. I'm going to need to dig a little bit deeper into the Cavs side of things because I'm close to knowing what I'm going to do with the Lakers, focusing around AD. But when it comes to the Cavs, I don't have a strong lean or take yet. So, I don't know. I would love it if Jared Allen didn't play tonight. That would make this entire team so much more interesting to me. But as of right now, I'll probably just let the DS do what it wants to do. All right. Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks. I think the biggest deal here is Luka being 13K. Freaking wild. It's like, oh, am I paying up? It's like, there's not just paying up on this slate. There's the top tier paying up, Luka at 13K, and then there's paying up with like guys like LeBron and AD in like the 10, maybe 11K range. There is a massive gap there, but the Nuggets have been awful against point guards all year, giving up a ton of points. This is a great spot for Luka Doncic in here. The only thing that can hurt him is really just himself. If he just really dominates the pace of this game and really keeps it slow, he might not reach his ceiling. Yeah, there's levels to this shit. Literally levels to this shit when it comes to salary. JJ said, I don't use back testing, probably why I'm bad. Yeah, I definitely recommend back testing just so you can understand the DS more. So like for me, I spend a lot of time not BSing. I spend a lot of time using the DS to practice and try to realistically figure out how I can hit the nuts lineup. And that worked well for me. And over time, I really figured out, okay, if I do this, and that, then I'm really getting what I want in the DS. Instead of the DS controlling me, I controlled it a little bit more. So really just being that comfortable with it is why I recommend back testing, but not everyone has to back test. Next thing, Luka's in a great spot, and that's probably not a surprise to anyone. Christian Wood, his minutes have been absolutely everywhere. I'm just going to need to dig deeper into that before I figure out what I want to do there. I don't foresee me having a ton of exposure. If he's really popular, then I'll probably lean towards fading him. But for now, I'll probably just let the DS control my fate with him. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been a beast so far this season, kind of out of nowhere. He's had at least 27 DraftKings points in 4 straight games, which is great for his price. And his price hasn't changed a ton. He's still 4,400. So you see the dark green here. That's expressing the strong value that he is. My problem and concern with Tim Hardaway Jr. is that he is still a streaky shooter. So on a 3-game slate, if he's actually going to be 50% owned, I'm probably leaning towards being closer to field weight than getting leverage on him, because there's definitely some risk there. But we do like the minutes floor, which is nice. So, all right, guys. Oh, nope. We'll go to the Nuggets. Can't forget the Nuggets. I was already ready to pack on out of here. Again, MPJ is out. And so when MPJ is out, I play Jokic, I play Murray, I play Bruce Brown, I play Aaron Gordon. I play all 4 of those guys, kind of without question. And then KCP will probably be in my lines due to the DS. The other guys, like Bones Highland, I'm not as excited about. Like some of the point guards in the other games better. Yeah, Dinwiddie has been a little disappointing so far over the last few games. He had some random ceiling games, even with Luka healthy. Sometimes basketball doesn't make sense. So I'm going to let the DS probably decide my fate on those Mavericks guys for the most part. Unless something pops out as I'm doing my deeper research later today. As of right now, I'm not feeling too strongly about it. But I do love Jokic and Murray and Brown. So if we were putting bets on where I'm probably going to have leverage tonight, probably Jamal Murray. I know he burned us last time out, I think, but I don't care. He has a 27.8% usage rate with MPJ out and a 1.09 fantasy points per minute. This Mavericks team isn't one that I like to pick on because they play at a slower pace, but he's fantastic when one of those guys are out, so I'm fine with it. But all right, guys, that was the NBA Tournament Strategy Show. I appreciate all of you guys for watching and the support and being active in the chat. I appreciate all of it a ton. I hope you guys are able to check out the pre-lock show later today at 5:30 p.m. If we don't have any news, I might push it to 6:30. Yeah, that works. 6:30 or 6. I'll let you guys know in the chat, but I just want to make sure we're using that time appropriately. But peace out. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.